Hello, designers. This is Rebecca, and this is your Assignment 1 Graphic Standard Sheet critique. Let's go ahead and just look at the requirements real fast, and then I'll get into your submissions. For this assignment, you were to create a graphic standard sheet to demonstrate the new skills that you've learned thus far. The requirements were to create a letter-size document that includes your logo, fonts, colors, texture, style, and website template in a PDF. All right, let's take a look at them. So, first up, we have Chelsea. Chelsea, this logo is gorgeous. I love it. The I'm going to return to it in just a second. Let's go ahead and check out your fonts. Very cool. That FLW exhibition font is really neat. It's a little bit Art Deco, but more modern too. It's so cool. I really love it. It looks really nice with the Microsoft font there. Yeebite. I think I said that right. Who knows? Next up, your color palette is also very gorgeous. I love this watercolor painting texture that you have. I can't tell exactly what that other texture is, but it looks really nice. I think it will complement it nicely. Maybe it's like a watercolor paper texture or something. And then this template looks okay so far. It's so minimal, but that's okay. As long as you can create a custom homepage for this template, then you're good to go. So I think you probably can. It looks like you have some options along the top to add more menu items and things. So I think it'll be good. So let's go back to this gorgeous logo. What I really love about it, let me zoom in here. There we go, pretty. So, oh yeah, I can see the water paper texture now, watercolor texture. All of this color variation inside is so pretty. It just adds like so much depth and dimension. And I love how it's just like not perfect at all. And these rings are kind of like a brush stroke, like this part right here, this little bump is so cool. And how the liquid is like built up. It's really, really lovely. You created a little bit of highlight in here. It's so nice. So I love that. I love that it's not just uniform all the way around. It's really pretty. I think that the font definitely complements it really nicely. There's a little bit of strange kerning going on in your name. The word designs looks kerned very well. Maybe there's a little bit of extra space between the D and the E, but Chelsea is, there's like, it appears, right, that there's a big space between the C and the H, whereas the H and the E are a little closer together. There's a little wider space between the E and the L compared to the H and the E. A very large space between L and S, a fairly large space between S and E, and then E and A, I think will be okay. So I just want you to go in there and just see if you can make it look a little bit more uniform, the space in between each letter. So even though they might say that all the spaces are equal, because we have these more open areas, visually it's looking like there's big rivers, like that's what we call the white gaps that flow between words and letters. So especially because Domingo is a little tighter, you see that there. So you have room for Domingo to be wider since this is a round shape. And so you could tighten up Chelsea a little bit, but I think spreading out Domingo as well, just a little, like as much as designs is spread out, will work nicely for you. And then, give yourself some space between D and O and M, M and I. The I and N look pretty good. N and G is tight, and so is G and O. So it really just depends on what you want here. If you want the letters all hugging each other like Domingo, that's totally cool. Just make the same thing happen on Chelsea and designs, or vice versa. The spacing between designs looks normal to me, as like normal spacing, whereas the spacing in Chelsea looks like it's widely tracked. So I would say just make it consistent through all three lines of text. And then this line down here appears to be wider. I can see that it starts about 2/3 of the way in at the D, whereas over here it starts almost at the end of the D. And then this line goes out once again to like the first quarter or so of this O. This one doesn't get to the O. So just choose one of those lines and put it in both. You know what I mean? What I would do is fix this one, copy all that, stick it down there. So you don't have to do it two times. All right, awesome. It looks like that's what you did here. These look identical to me. So this is the one that changed a little bit. Okay, well, it's gorgeous. The other thing that you might want to do is for your website, you may need a few more colors. So I would say get up to 6 colors. You could just use your eyedropper tool and choose a few more colors from this beautiful example here because it is very pretty. You don't have to, but you have this lighter, light gray blue color in this cloudy area here. You've got this pinker color and even a darker pink here if you want to, or this reddish color um, to pull from. But if you don't want those more pinky hues, then what you could do is just go with a lighter tint of each of these colors, and then, your palette will be completely uniform. All right, great, excellent work. Thanks so much. Next up is Rebecca. Let me zoom out. Come on, wake up. All right. Ooh, cool. Okay, so this is such a punchy, fun color palette, and I love these textures. We've got like polka dots and stardust stars, and very cute font combination. It's really nice. All right, so let's look at the logo. I'm going to zoom in. All right, so I think all of the spacing looks good in this. And I'm wondering if you would consider switching this stroke to maybe your teal instead. Never mind, because your little girl has black details, so maybe that won't look right. Maybe try, instead of the stroke, filling the star with the teal with no stroke, and just see if you like it. If you don't like it, you can leave it. Um, the reason why I'm asking this is because the lines are so thin in here that when this logo's tiny, it just doesn't feel balanced with the thickness, the boldness of the text behind it. You see how, like, I'm all about contrast in a logo, but there's something that's not melding together, right, with the thinness of that stroke versus the the super heaviness of that font. The other thing is maybe your girl could be a little bigger. I'm sorry, I'm getting all over here. So you do have room if you wanted to go with a horizontal logo. You have room to make her at least as tall as your X height here. And then the peak of this star could go up to the height of the T there. It could go even higher if you wanted it to, but what I'm saying is you have space to do that, and you would just have to move the word art over to the right a little bit more. And that could really help with what I was talking about. And then same with over here, you have room to go bigger. You could make this spike, continue out here. It wouldn't continue out as, you don't have a lot of room on the left to go too far. But I think she could be bigger because she's so cute. Why not? Why not? Let her shine. You know what I mean? Let her shine like the star behind her. All right. And then the textures. So I don't know. I have to see what it's going to look like with this polka dot mixed with the stars. Unless you're going for more of a half tone. I don't know. I trust you. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. Okay. And then with your color palette, I do recommend bringing in 2 more colors. So you already have a lighter version of this pink, so that works. You could go with a lighter version of the teal, and you could go with a gray, because you do have a bit of gray in here, and that would work just fine. You could also go with one more even lighter pink, or somewhere in between these two, so you can mess with that and see what you'd like to do there. That's a great template. It looks like it's going to have everything that you need on there. And overall, I think you're ready to go. I think it's good to go. Thanks so much, Rebecca. Next up is Derek. All right, let me just make sure I'm zoomed in. Okay, excellent. Really nice. So, Derek, the logo looks great. It has, I see that you spread out creative, you're tracking there to kind of line up with the ends, and that looks very nice. This color palette is really lovely. Looks good. And then I like these two fonts together. This new cable is really nice. I love that. It's like a deco font, beautifully thin and round. It's very pretty. I love those E's kind of diagonal. Very cool. Looks like you have a couple templates to choose from, and both of them will be great. I can see from the menu options at the top that you're going to be able to customize things and it's going to look good. Oh, I think it's the same template you just showed us two different pictures of it, two different screens. So that's great. These textures are pretty cool. I like the halftone a lot. And I think they'll look cool with these, diagonal zigzaggy things. And I like these like line ones. I lost my words there for a second. Um, the only other thing would be I'd say bring in one more red, maybe like a very dark version of this. It is already dark, but I think you could get even darker because you may need it for your site. Or you could bring in a lighter color like, from this gradient, but the template is leaning heavy, like leaning kind of dark. So I think like if you had a page that had this, darker background and you chose a super dark red version, that it would look really cool. Excellent. Easy, easy stuff. Nothing to change. I like this subtle drop shadow in here. It's very cool. And I can see like your palette in there. This little subtle difference in the bottom DZ is really nice. Yeah, perfect. Great work. Thank you so much. Excellent. Next up is Nicholas. Let me zoom out. Okay. Ooh, pretty. All right. Great. So the fonts are beautiful. I love that Bentaria. That's a pretty font. That's gorgeous. Ooh, I love those swashes and stuff. That's really nice. Ligatures there with these T's connecting and that. Very nice. Oops, sorry. And this right here, these two S options, really lovely. So I hope to get to see more of those fonts, of that font throughout the work. So maybe you can implement it as your headers in your resume if you haven't already, and headers on your website. Really cool. Bodini bold with it. I mean, that is quite a contrast. I just have to see them next to each other. I mean, I can see it right here in your design, in your logo. And then your color palette is good. You may need two more colors. I'm looking at it next to this texture and the pictures in your template, and I know you don't choose these pictures, but it is looking nice with a very warm goldish color. So I wonder if if you'd be opposed to bringing in a more gold, warmer neutral, because I think it does look nice in there as an accent. And then your sixth color could just be a lighter gray of this dark color here. And I think that will be nice. Excellent. That's pretty. Okay. Yeah, I think this template is going to capture all of these style elements here, like modern and upscale. It's very pretty. And then the template looks good. It looks like you're going to have all the options that you need, that you can add more pages. So I think that's going to be great. It's very, very sleek. I love it. So let's talk about the logo. I'm going to zoom in here. All right. So right now, the logo is the gestalt is feeling sparse in the middle here, and also center aligning everything horizontally it's just making it feel like this font over here and this line, they're not necessarily with this part of the logo. So to remedy that, well, first let's address this part. So the C going through the at is just making it look like a rushed signature. And I'm wondering if you could, if they have a different C in this font pack. And if not, if you could like move the AT up or over a little bit more so it's not sitting inside of the C. Just something so it looks a little squished horizontally. And then this big bold N next to it, did you try? I wonder if you tried the regular and how that felt. Um, because there is quite a difference between this thickness and this thickness. And so I'm wondering if it might look a little bit more together. The other thing you could do is maybe try placing a couple periods in here and see if that pulls them together. Uh, yeah, okay. So just play with that a little bit more. You could also, I don't know if you can, but make that C thicker. That might help to marry them a little bit better. Okay. Then with the word design, I think that this might be better if it was stacked. So that design is underneath it. If you wanted to go with this scale, you could also try all caps. Um, if you wanted to see what that looks like. I don't think you need this vertical rule here. I think that that might be part of what's kind of like literally separating them. And then just do, here's what you can do. So either increase the font size of this so that it's the same as these. So it reads NCAT design, nice and big, if you want a horizontal logo version. And then, or you can, if you want to leave it small, make it the same height as about half of the capital N. So right now it's a little bit smaller than that. Make it about halfway there, and then make it all caps. And I think that that will uh, make it look like it's all part of the same thing. So give that a shot. And you're welcome to email me different versions of it, and I can, give you feedback on there because I think I just told you to try like 7 different things, and um, we'll get it to work here. Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. Next up is Ariana. Let me just zoom out. All right. So the logo turned out really nice, really cute. I love that font so much. I use Sign Painter in a few logos I made for this one company. They had like a sister company. So the first one was for their main restaurant, and then the second one was for their bakery. And I get so many compliments on that logo, and I'm so stoked. And it's because of Sign Painter. I know it. The lips are really cute. Let me zoom in. I'm just gonna, boop, boop. Yeah, I think it's really balanced really nicely, and it turned out great. It's really cute. I love it. Simple, to the point, great colors. I think Futura and Sign Painter together are going to look fantastic. And so for your color palette, it's a lovely combination. I do think your website might need a couple more options. So maybe you could go with a tint that's between these two, or even darker than this, one or the other. And then maybe a gray that's between these two, or a darker version of this creamy color. Either, any of those will work. And you just, I don't know, like these websites, the templates have so many colors in them. I think the last one I worked with had like 24 colors. I'm like, you're insane. How am I supposed to deal with this? So I think 6 colors max is a good way to go. But sometimes you just need for break up a page for their background colors and stuff, you just need a few more options than what you have because your text is probably going to be this color, Excuse me. Okay. And then for this website, let me just look at this template. Sorry, I'm zooming in. All right, so this is I think it's the Adobe Portfolio site, and I do have to tell you that on this site, you are not able to make a custom home page, and the requirements, so you'll miss all the requirements for the custom home page, and so on your final, you won't get the highest grade that you can get if that's important to you. If you just want the portfolio done and you're okay with that, with your grade, being impacted, then I understand completely, and you're welcome to go this route. Uh, so just a heads up there, like want to get, if your grade is like the most important priority, then I recommend not using the free Adobe Portfolio option, but no pressure. Okay, no pressure. I totally get it. So any of the other sites that are, that I link to on that page, those will all allow you to make a custom home page besides this one. This is the only one that doesn't let you do that, okay? All right, thank you so much. And you can reach out to me if you need to talk about it, okay? Thank you. All right, next up is Momi. Great, really nice. So this super pop star text is very cute. And I think it looks great with the milky vintage. I like the halftone texture. I think it will look nice. The color palette is very cute. I do think you might need a dark color for text. It could be a super dark blue, like a dark navy. That would look really nice with these two colors. It doesn't have to be black by any means. In fact, I would love it if it wasn't black, but if you want to go with black, that's cool too. Um, this looks so pretty in here. This is really nice gradient work there. I love it. And then, yeah, it feels so nice and balanced and organic. You did a lovely job down here with the text. Very cute. All these little dips, It's really nice. Really nice. The only thing, I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind making this O, the same size flower as that O. Uh, just play with it. If it doesn't look right, then leave it as it is, but I think that they could be the same size. So then I mentioned the dark blue possibility of your darkest text color. I do recommend at least two more colors, maybe three. So you do have a light pink in here. You could sample, and that could be your lighter tint of this. Yeah, you could even go with a lighter yellow too as another tint. And if you do go with a dark blue, you could go with a light blue. Or yeah, I'd say those three. All right, excellent. While you will have white, I don't necessarily think you need to have white as the included in your palette for your website because it will be like a default in some places. And then this is a fantastic portfolio option. So that's gonna be great. And it looks like you'll be able to, I have seen other students use this. Sorry, I said kids. I have seen other students use this portfolio and it turned out great. So awesome. Way to go, Momi. Thank you. All right, next up is Tagarn. Beautiful. Wow. Awesome. Hold on. I don't know where to look first. There's so many neat little details here. So let's start with the typography. The Fredoka is really cool. I love a font with a perfectly circled bold there. That's like one of my favorite features in any font. And these B's are really cool in here. That's a nice font. Nunito is so close to it. I mean, I do see some differences, but they are very similar. So um, I don't know if you would consider, I see that you have like a very clean, super modern font, but I have seen some nice slab fonts look really good with a font like these. So you could consider something like that. One of my favorite fonts, slab fonts, is this Josephine slab. I think it's so pretty. And you still have a nice round bowl to complement your other font. And I think you can see how they would work together nicely, but by no means are you required to use a slab font. I just didn't know if maybe, you'd like a little bit of variation between the two. They're just so similar. This color palette is fantastic. I love it. It's really nice. It works perfectly together. You have enough colors there. It's really great. I really like this little violet peeking through. It's really pretty. I think these two, oops, sorry about that. The halftone and the grid are going to look really nicely together. Makes me happy. I love a halftone. And then let's look at the logo variations. I'm just going to zoom in here so I can really focus on them. Okay. Oops, sorry. These are so cool. Yeah, I love them. This is so fun. This is really neat. It just all looks so good. All right. So the only thing I notice here is like I love how this is shaping up. I love that you reverse this. I think it looks really cool. It makes some beautiful gestalt. Would you consider, I don't know what your tracking is here, but it does look a little bit wider than what's going on up here. And I think you could go a little wider with the tracking on this horizontal version. You don't have to by any means, like it's working as it is, but I like the tracking in this word design. So I just think it looks really like modern and sleek. So since you have some width, a little with wiggle room there, you could go a little wider, but totally up to you, okay? All right. I think the line work in here is really nice too. I like those variations a lot. Really fun. Lovely work. And then this template, mm, yeah, I think that's going to be great. Looks like you have, so it looks like it is a blog site. Okay, great. So it's going to be WordPress, I think, and I think that'll work out great. You will be able to customize a homepage, which is what I really care about a lot. Besides being able to see your images nice and large as possible. All right, excellent work. Thank you so much. All right, next is Trayvon. Ooh, Trey, look at these. I love the logo. I love that texture. It's so beautiful. This is a really cool color palette. I love the texture. Love it. All right, and that's going to be a perfect palette. I mean, sorry, a perfect website template for what you need to get done. So that's going to be great. This is a nice combination too. I think that's going to look really nice, really good. All right, so I've been recommending to everybody to have at least 6 colors for their website in their palette. So you could go in and give yourself a lighter or darker version of this green, a lighter version of this dark color here. I love that it's not pure black. I think this is really nice. It's a little smoky. I like that. And then with this red, you could go with a lighter version. A darker version might be even better though, because a lighter version is just going to get pretty coralish or pink, like this color in here, which doesn't look bad by any means. I just feel like the darker might be cooler. And then you would just use those all sparingly because these would be your main palette. So let me look at this logo. I'm going to zoom in here. All right, so I love all these variations in these circles. Really nice. It's so cool. I love the lines here between them. So there's just a few little tiny little nudges that I think that I recommend. So I noticed that on this one specifically that this J is not aligned. So zoom way in there, get your direct selection tool out and just either tuck in the top of that or expand the other part, the bottom part, because it's two different shapes there I can see. Or you can, if it's married together, you can go in with your remove anchor point tool and just get rid of those two that are there, and then it'll be one smooth line. That's probably the better way to do it. Then I would nudge this J to the left a hair because the lines between these two are different than this line. This is a little bit thinner. And I think that's it. Everything else is good to go. I'm just eyeballing it because I thought I saw another jumper. Where was that? Okay, it could be that it's the texture playing tricks on my eyes. And okay, I'm just seeing if I can zoom in any further here. What you could do is put your logo in wire mode. So you just hit Command Y for wire mode. Just kidding. And then you'll see if you have any extra anchor points. So I think you might have an extra anchor point somewhere around here. But it could just be that texture making it look like it, but it does look like there's a little divot. And so just, look around. Oh, here's one right here. There we go. And go in with that in wire mode. You'll see all the anchor points and paths, and then you go in with your delete anchor point tool and select those extra points, and then it'll just be one smooth line all the way around. Don't just select the points and hit the delete key because then you'll break your path. Using the delete anchor point tool is the way to go for that so that it just will continue the line once that anchor point's gone. The other thing that you could do is there is a new measurement tool in Illustrator that you could use to measure the space here. The thing that us old schoolers used to do is we would use the ellipse tool and we would hold down shift as we were drawing an ellipse and we would make a tiny circle between wherever the space is that we're trying to measure. And then you take that circle, make it red or something that you can see easily. And then you take that circle and you move it over here and you place the edge of it next to the one letter. And then you select your letter that you want to move, like this J, and then just using the arrow keys on your keyboard, nudge it to the left until the edge of this J touches the edge of that tiny circle. So we use tiny circles to measure before Illustrator had the measure tool. All right, cool. Thank you. This is great work. Next up is Riley. All right, wow, this is a really fun color palette. This is a perfect website template, really nice. What is this texture here? Let me look at that. Oh, cool. Okay, that'll look really nice. And I see it right there, that looks good. All right, so we're using Chinchilla Black and Poppins. I love Poppins. Um, yeah, this is very whimsical. I love the the color palette looks really good. I think you do need a sixth color for your text. So it can either be like a super, super, super dark red version of this or a super, super, super dark green could work nicely. You can also use black if you'd like. But you could make either one of these like almost black and it would look pretty cool. Okay. I was just looking at the logo, trying to think if there's too much going on, but I don't think there is. I think that it's capturing what you want as far as the whimsiness goes, and it's still totally legible. Let me zoom out and just see what it looks like small. Yeah, I think it's really fun and totally working. The gestalt is good. I think it's feeling a little like off kilter because the S is like sticking out this side of the E, but I like the swirly underneath the R. So there's two things you could do. You could either reduce your font size of designs to just tuck in that S a little bit better, or you could reduce the size of the swirl and then maybe nudge the word designs to the left a tiny bit. But I think the swirl scale is good with that word. So I don't think you should get this swirl over here. I think it should stay under the R like that. So just play with that. Maybe you could just reduce the size of designs a little bit and tighten up the tracking a hair. That might work, you know. Because the font is like um, the letters are partially rotated and doing their own thing, looking like they're dancing around. You have a lot of freedom with what you could do with the letters and the word designs. Yeah, excellent. I think it looks so good with that texture. I love that. I love how it sort of washes out the punchiness. Even though these colors are beautiful, I think this texture just, it makes it, it brings this to the next level of like intention, and it makes it almost look like somebody drew on a wall or something, or painted a mural on a wall. That texture is bringing that feeling, and I love it. Great work. Thank you. Next up is Victoria. Ooh, all right. I'm just looking at your your font pairing here. So we do have two sort of monospaced fonts. Oh, I think it's working. Okay, that'll look good with this header here. I just realized they were um, just one is just the bold version of the other, so that works. Okay, and then this is a great template, so that's going to work out perfectly for everything you need to do. You have a very large color palette. I'm interested to see how these colors work together. This pink next to this color sort of throwing me off, but I do love the punchiness of the pink. I'm wondering if you would consider removing this color here, if you want to keep the pink, like vice one or the other, you know what I mean? I think the pink looks nice with these colors, and it's fun. Just have some fun, you know what I mean? And then let's look at your logo. I'm going to zoom in on it here. That's cool. That's a really cool. I love it. This one with the yellow and the star is definitely, working better than the black and white version, because this star gets a little lost in the black and white version. Maybe because it's so light, but you don't want to have a dark star. This is beautiful. I love the white stroke in there and on this part. It's really nice. Very nice. So the only thing I recommend is adding your name so that you have a combo mark that includes your name too. So I don't know if you could write out your name in this font here, or you could do, I'm just looking at these uh, fonts down here. You could just write it out small underneath in one of these fonts and see how they look. I think maybe the thinner, oh, I don't know. One of the source codes as opposed to the Termina would look better, I think, but maybe because I'm just seeing that source code font right there and it's like making me think it's going to work. But overall, like, you can use this icon as much as you want. I just think there might be places where you want to have your name next to it as well. Okay, beautiful. This turned out gorgeous. I love all these details here. That's really nice. And yeah, it looks awesome. Great job. Great job, everybody. Thank you so much.